1,000-pound sisters update. Chris Combs rushed to hospital after sudden health emergency rocks the family. The internet can be a terrifying place, especially when the health of a beloved reality TV star becomes the subject of unverified rumors. For fans of TLC's hit series 1,000-Pound Sisters, a recent storm of social media gossip claimed that Chris Combs, the beloved brother of Amy Slaton Halterman and Tammy Slaton, had suffered a sudden stroke while at work, leading to a dramatic hospital rush. These reports, which spread like wildfire across Facebook fan pages and YouTube channels, suggested that Chris's wife, Brittany Combs, had been forced to make a public appeal for prayers as the family faced a terrifying night. However, as the dust settled on this whirlwind of online speculation, a different picture emerged, one that highlighted not a moment of crisis, but the quiet, steady determination of a man who has already faced down his own mortality and won. The fear that gripped fans was understandable. Chris Combs is more than just a supporting character on 1,000-Pound Sisters. He is the witty, grounded, and often hilarious glue that holds the chaotic Slaton family together. As Tammy's health took terrifying turns, including the season 3 finale where she stopped breathing in the car, and Chris feared she might not make it through the night, it was Chris who was behind the wheel, driving her to rehab. As Amy navigates her own tumultuous life and messy divorce, it is Chris who shows up to help her plant a garden or mediate the explosive text message fights that erupt between his siblings. To imagine him in a hospital bed, facing a sudden and catastrophic health event, was a nightmare scenario for the TLC faithful. But for those who have followed Chris Combs' personal journey from the beginning, the idea of a sudden stroke or heart attack seems almost paradoxical. Chris joined the show in season 2, tipping the scales at a staggering 450 pounds. Back then, his life was a daily battle against morbid obesity. He required at least 5 shots of insulin every single day just to manage his sky-high blood sugar levels. He suffered from mobility issues, often struggling to keep up with the demands of daily life. But unlike some of his sisters, Chris carried a specific, haunting motivation. His father, who weighed over 400 pounds, had passed away in his 40s, and Chris was terrified of suffering the same fate. This fear, combined with the love for his wife Brittany and his extended family, pushed him toward a life-changing decision. In 1,000-Pound Sisters Season 3, Chris finally underwent gastric sleeve bariatric surgery. The results were nothing short of miraculous. He shed nearly 150 pounds within the first year. But unlike some weight loss stories that grab headlines and then fade, Chris kept going. He dropped his weight well below 300 pounds, eventually stabilizing around 250, a number that represented a total loss of around 200 pounds from his heaviest. He radically changed his lifestyle, embracing a 4,000-calorie diet, switching from alcoholic beverages to water, and hitting the gym regularly. By the time season 6 rolled around, Chris became the first member of the Slaton family to qualify for and undergo excess skin removal surgery. He was no longer just the brother on the couch. He was running 5K marathons and crediting his weight loss for allowing him to play with his grandchildren. The recent viral rumor claimed that during season 7, Chris's screen time diminished, leading fans to grow suspicious and manufacture a crisis. In reality, the show's producers shifted focus to Tammy's dramatic skin removal surgery, but off-camera, Chris has continued to thrive. In fact, as of early 2025, Chris and Brittany have become an even greater source of inspiration. While Chris has been maintaining his hard-won physique, Brittany has embarked on her own remarkable weight loss journey, shedding nearly 74 pounds and undergoing weight loss surgery herself, inspired by watching her husband's success. Despite the false alarm, the panic surrounding Chris's supposed medical crisis serves as a powerful mirror reflecting just how fragile the health of the Slaton family has always been. While Chris may be safe and sound, the family is no stranger to the flashing lights of ambulances. Chris's own wife, Brittany, was the subject of a bizarre stroke-related rumor earlier in 2025. Meanwhile, sister Amanda Halterman has been in and out of the hospital pretty regularly, with Chris himself telling producers that the situation is terrifying because they can't figure out what's going on. And of course, there is Tammy, whose decades-long battle with her weight has resulted in multiple hospitalizations where she has quit breathing and nearly didn't wake up. A hospitalization for Slaton is never just a rumor. It is a statistical likelihood. In the wake of the viral stroke hoax, the family has largely remained silent, choosing not to dignify the clickbait articles with a response, as no official plea or Instagram post was ever found on Brittany's actual social media accounts. But the incident underscores a deeper truth. To the fans of 1,000-pound sisters, Chris Combs is irreplaceable. He is the man who can roast Amy for getting bit by a camel 1 minute and hold Tammy's hand while she sobs in a doctor's office the next. He is the family man, married to Brittany since 2016, raising children and grandchildren, and proving every day that the Slaton family is capable of producing a strong, silent rock in the middle of a hurricane. For now, Chris Combs is alive, healthy, and likely laughing at the absurdity of the internet rumors while taking a walk or working on his rental property. But if this false alarm has taught the 1,000-pound sisters fanbase anything, it is to cherish the moments of peace in the Slaton household. Because in a family defined by lifelong battles against food, addiction, and weight, a no-news update on Chris Combs is actually the best possible news of all. Where Part 1 left off, the internet was on fire. Facebook groups dedicated to 1,000-pound sisters had exploded with posts claiming that Chris Combs had suffered a massive stroke while working on a rental property. The posts were vague but urgent. Pray for Chris. He's in the hospital. Brittany is asking for privacy, but also for prayers. Some versions added that he had collapsed on a job site, that paramedics had to perform CPR, that he was unresponsive for several minutes. Others said it wasn't a stroke, but a sudden cardiac event, a heart attack triggered by the residual stress of his previous weight. The screenshots looked real enough. A user named TLC Fan Forever claimed to be a neighbor of the Combs family. Another user, Kentucky Tea Spiller, wrote that she worked at the same hospital where Chris was supposedly admitted and that she saw the whole family crying in the waiting room. Within 48 hours, the rumor had migrated from obscure fan pages to YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Titles screamed, 1,000-pound sisters star rush to hospital, family in shock, and Chris Combs stroke. Will he survive? But here is the truth that eventually trickled out, not through a dramatic family statement, but through the quiet absence of evidence. No local news outlet in Kentucky reported on any ambulance call to the Combs residence. No verified GoFundMe or CaringBridge page was created by Brittany or any Slaton sibling. No Instagram Live or Facebook post from Amy, Tammy, Amanda, or Misty mentioned a medical crisis involving Chris. Instead, fans who dug deeper noticed that the original Pray for Chris post had been deleted by its author. The account that posted it had been created just 3 days earlier and had no profile picture, no friends, no other activity. The hospital employee, who claimed to see the family crying, later admitted in a buried comment that she might have been mistaken and that she saw a large family crying but doesn't know if it was the Slatons. By the end of the week, the rumor had lost its momentum. Chris Combs did not post any "I'm alive" video because he rarely posts anything at all. His social media presence has always been minimal, a few photos of grandkids, a fishing trip, a new truck. But his wife Brittany, who is slightly more active, did post a seemingly mundane photo of a homemade dinner: grilled chicken, steamed broccoli, and a small baked potato. The caption: Tuesday night dinner. Chris is on his 3rd helping of broccoli. He says it's his new favorite food. That caption was the quietest, most powerful rebuttal possible. A man in the middle of a stroke recovery would not be eating 3 helpings of broccoli. A family in crisis would not be posting about grilled chicken. Yet the rumor's persistence reveals something uncomfortable about the 1,000-pound sisters fandom. Viewers have become so accustomed to medical emergencies that they now expect them. When Chris did not appear in a few consecutive episodes of Season 7 because the editing focused heavily on Tammy's skin removal surgery and Amy's legal troubles, fans filled the narrative void with catastrophe. Absence of evidence became evidence of absence. No news became bad news. While the stroke rumor was a fabrication, it would be dishonest to pretend that Chris Combs is out of the woods permanently. Bariatric surgery is not a magic wand. It is a tool, and tools require maintenance. Chris has spoken openly about the head hunger that never fully goes away, the psychological craving for comfort food that does not originate in an empty stomach. He has admitted that there are still days when he wants to eat an entire pizza or when he drives past a fast food restaurant and feels the old pull. Moreover, the human body that carries 450 pounds for decades does not simply forget that history. Even after losing 200 pounds, Chris lives with the remnants of metabolic syndrome. His pancreas has been through war, his joints have been ground down, his heart has pumped blood through miles of inflamed, stressed vessels. He is healthier than he has ever been as an adult, but he is not immune to the same health issues that killed his father in his 40s. His father's death was not instantaneous. It was a slow accumulation of organ failures, starting with the heart and ending with the kidneys. Chris knows this. He has said in interviews that he thinks about his father every single day. That is why, rumor or no rumor, Chris takes his health seriously in ways that might surprise casual viewers. He recently invested in a home blood pressure monitor and checks his numbers twice a day. He has a smartwatch that tracks his heart rhythm and alerts him to irregularities. He sees a cardiologist every 6 months, not because anything is wrong, but because he refuses to be caught off guard. My daddy ignored the signs, he told a local Kentucky podcast in late 2024. He didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to go to the doctor. And then one day, he just didn't wake up. I'm not doing that to Brittany. I'm not doing that to my kids. That podcast interview, which received only a few thousand listens, is far more revealing than any dramatic reality TV confessional. In it, Chris also talked about the subtle ways his weight loss has changed his marriage. Me and Brittany used to fight about food, he said. She'd be trying to cook healthy, and I'd be sneaking candy bars in the garage. That ain't happening anymore. Now we fight about who gets to use the treadmill first in the morning. He laughed when he said it, but the laugh carried weight. He was not laughing at his past. He was laughing at the absurdity of how far he had come. Brittany's own weight loss journey, mentioned briefly in part 1, deserves more attention here. While Chris was losing hundreds of pounds, Brittany quietly lost 74 pounds through diet and exercise alone. She then made the decision to undergo gastric sleeve surgery herself in early 2024. In a rare joint interview with a small YouTube channel that covers TLC shows, the couple explained their decision. I didn't want to be the one left behind, Brittany said. Chris got healthy, and I was still struggling. I saw how much energy he had, how he could run after the grandkids. I wanted that too. The surgery was successful. Brittany has since lost an additional 40 pounds and is no longer on blood pressure medication. The couple now works out together 3 times a week at a local gym that has become something of a sanctuary for them. People recognize us sometimes, Chris said. They'll come up and say, "Hey, you're that guy from TV." And I'll say, "Yeah, I'm the guy who used to weigh 450 pounds and now I can bench press 135. They don't expect that. To understand why a false stroke rumor about Chris Combs spread so quickly and felt so believable, one must understand the Slaton family's history with hospital waiting rooms. That history is not a single event. It is a recurring nightmare. Tammy Slaton has been hospitalized more times than even she can count. There was the 2019 incident where she stopped breathing and was placed in a medically induced coma. There was the 2020 pneumonia scare that required a tracheotomy. There was the 2021 rehab stint where her oxygen levels dropped into the 70s. There was the 2022 emergency room visit after she fell out of her wheelchair and could not get up. Most terrifyingly, there was the moment in Season 3, Episode 11, when Chris was driving Tammy to rehab and she suddenly went unresponsive in the passenger seat. Chris's face in that moment, the panic, the helplessness, the desperate speeding toward the hospital, is etched into the memory of every longtime fan. Amy Slaton Halterman has had her own share of medical drama, though it has often been overshadowed by Tammy's more extreme crises. Amy's weight has yo-yoed after the birth of her 2 sons, Gage and Glenn. She has been hospitalized for gallstones, a common complication of rapid weight loss. She has also struggled with mental health episodes that required short-term inpatient care. In 2023, following her divorce from Michael Halterman, Amy was admitted for what she later called a complete breakdown. not eating, not sleeping, crying for days. Chris was the one who drove her to that hospital too. Amanda Halterman has the most mysterious medical history of the siblings. As Chris mentioned to producers, Amanda has been in and out of the hospital pretty regularly, with an undiagnosed condition that causes fainting spells, severe abdominal pain, and erratic blood pressure. She has seen specialists across Kentucky and Tennessee, but no one has given her a definitive answer. The family has learned to live with uncertainty. "We don't panic when Amanda goes to the hospital anymore," Misty told a fan on Cameo. "We just wait for the tests to come back and hope this time they figure it out." Misty Slaton Wentworth, the eldest sister, has largely avoided major health crises, but she carries the emotional weight of being the family's primary caregiver during their mother Darlene's own health battles. Darlene has struggled with obesity-related illnesses for years, including diabetes, neuropathy, and chronic kidney disease. Misty has been the one to take her to dialysis appointments, to fill her pill organizers, to clean her house when she cannot get out of bed. That quiet, unglamorous labor has taken a toll on Misty's own health. She has gained weight in recent years and admits to stress eating. So when a rumor surfaces that Chris Combs, the brother who has driven every sister to every hospital, is now the one lying in a bed, the emotional response is visceral. It taps into a primal fear. If Chris falls apart, who holds the family together? There is an ironic footnote to this entire saga. Approximately 3 weeks after the stroke rumor was debunked, Chris Combs did visit a hospital. It was not an emergency. It was a scheduled follow-up with his bariatric surgeon to discuss some minor abdominal pain he had been experiencing near his incision sites from the skin removal surgery. The visit went smoothly. The surgeon determined that the pain was caused by scar tissue adhesions, a common issue after major abdominal surgery, and recommended physical therapy and gentle stretching. No surgery was needed. Chris was in and out in under 3 hours. But someone at that hospital, maybe a nurse, maybe a receptionist, maybe another patient, saw Chris Combs walking through the halls and snapped a blurry photo. The photo was posted to a private Facebook group with the caption, "Just saw Chris from 1,000-pound sisters at hospital name. He didn't look good. Prayers up." The photo showed Chris in a hospital gown, sitting in a waiting chair, looking tired. What the photo did not show was that he had just woken up from a nap in the waiting room because his appointment had been delayed by 2 hours. What it did not show was that he was drinking a bottle of water, not in 4 drip. What it did not show was that Brittany was in the bathroom when the photo was taken, and that she emerged 2 minutes later, holding 2 cups of tea. The rumor restarted. Chris Combs back in hospital. Complications from surgery. The family is keeping it quiet, but he's really sick. This time, Chris responded directly. He did not issue a press release or film a YouTube video. He simply commented on the Facebook post with a blurry photo. His comment, which was screenshotted and shared thousands of times, read, "That's me waiting for checkup. I'm fine. Brittany's fine. The coffee was fine. Y'all gotta stop scaring my mama." The comment was classic Chris, dry, humorous, but with an edge of real frustration. His mother, Darlene, had called him in tears after seeing the post, convinced that he was hiding a terminal diagnosis. He had to spend 20 minutes on the phone reassuring her that he was not dying, that he had simply fallen asleep in a waiting room chair. "Mama," he said, "if I was dying, I wouldn't be sitting in a plastic chair drinking hospital coffee. I'd be in a real bed ordering steak." The Chris Combs hospital hoax is not an isolated incident. It is part of a larger pattern in the world of reality television, where the line between caring about a cast member and obsessing over them blurs into something unhealthy. Consider the 1,000-pound sisters subreddit, which has over 150,000 members. On any given day, you will find posts analyzing Tammy's oxygen levels based on a 30-second clip, or dissecting Amy's facial expressions to determine if she is using drugs again, or speculating about Chris's marriage based on a single Instagram photo where Brittany is not smiling. The mods try to remove blatant misinformation, but they cannot catch everything. The photo showed Chris in a hospital gown, sitting in a waiting chair, looking tired. What the photo did not show was that he had just woken up from a nap in the waiting room because his appointment had been delayed by 2 hours. What it did not show was that he was drinking a bottle of water, not in 4 drip. What it did not show was that Brittany was in the bathroom when the photo was taken, and that she emerged 2 minutes later, holding 2 cups of coffee. The comment was classic Chris, dry, humorous, but with an edge of real frustration. His mother, Darlene, had called him in tears after seeing the post, convinced that he was hiding a terminal diagnosis. He had to spend 20 minutes on the phone reassuring her that he was not dying, that he had simply fallen asleep in a waiting room chair. "Mama," he said, "if I was dying, I wouldn't be sitting in a plastic chair drinking hospital coffee. I'd be in a real bed ordering steak." Consider the 1,000-pound Sisters subreddit, which has over 150,000 members. On any given day, you will find posts analyzing Tammy.